And the hearts are pounding in Denver.
This is Something Something Broncos.
This one's for Pat. It is caught. Touchdown, Moses.
Elam's kick.
It is.
Down the sideline.
53 yards.
Stokely. Wow.
Davis into the end zone, walking, standing up.
Touchdown.
Denver's gonna win it.
Bailey taking off.
Oh, baby, they're gonna win this thing.
Unbelievable.
Featuring
And here he is,
Mike DeSico and Jess Place.
having the time of his life.
Welcome to Something Something Broncos.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Something Something Broncos. I am Jess Place, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mike DeSico. Mike, it's Friday. No Broncos have been arrested this week. Life is pretty good. Yet, I mean, give it some time. There's a long weekend in front of us. Hey, you know, Mike and I were talking before the show, and we haven't really done a something episode. Well, there's been a lot of Broncos, but this is going to be more of a something Broncos. And folks of a certain age, fans of the Broncos, people from Denver of a certain age, might find this show a little more interesting than our usual noises we make on a weekly basis. Mike, you were born and raised in Fort Collins and Greeley, right? Like
That's
you're from,
correct, sir.
from that area of the Colorado landscape,
Northern Colorado. Absolutely.
and you're a gentleman of a certain age, are you not?
I am a gentleman, yes. Not
Well-
like you with your fart noises and armpit fart.
Oh, so many fart noises.
And can I just take objection to something you said? We
Yes.
don't really do something on this podcast. That's like 90% of what we do. We get on random tangents talking about chia seeds or whatever. I think we're more something than Broncos.
It is impossible for you to listen to this podcast without stepping in something.
Yeah. That's what our listener likes, though.
It's true. Here's a fun story. So the other day, I was excited because a band that I like was coming to town up here in beautiful New Hampshire. It's a Colorado band. A lot of people were way into them when I was in high school and middle school, and they were like a big Colorado band back in the day, and they have since kind of faded a little bit from the limelight, but they still go on tour. I went to go see the Samples. Did you ever hear about the Samples? Did you know the Samples when you were younger?
Never heard of them, and they must be in hard times if their tour includes small towns in New Hampshire.
I take that as a personal assault, and I will not stand for it.
Well, if there was a band coming to Little Grass Valley, California, I'd assume things were on hard times there.
Now, Mike, I have a confession. I have been a fan of this band. I saw them for the first time at Red Rocks when I was 13 with my sister. And when I was 15, I was stuck in a record store in near Arapahoe High School in like a little strip mall. And I was there with a buddy, and he was like a big music file. And so he was listening, because back in those days, you could listen to CDs like in the store. And
I remember.
And we were dropped off there, and I was stuck. And so I needed to listen to some music. And I remember having seen this band, The Sample. So I bought their CD, I listened to their CD, and I fell in love with them. And I've seen them like dozens of times in California, Nebraska, Massachusetts, Arizona, everywhere.
Why Nebraska? Did you lose a bet?
I lived in Nebraska for
what?
a year. I lived in
information. Why?
No,
was it like community service?
No. I fell in love with my wife, and she went to grad school there, and so I followed her out there for a year, and then I couldn't hack it, Mike. I couldn't hack Nebraska, so I had to go back to Hollywood. It's like the reverse Hollywood story.
Right.
Yeah. So it's it's all right. It's okay. But yeah, so I've seen this band all over, and I was talking to a colleague at work of mine, and she is also from Colorado, and she knew this band because. And I'm surprised that you don't, because they were up in Fort Collins all the time. They were in Boulder. And to answer your question from earlier, they're also from the New England area, like originally. So they have roots here. And so they come here kind of regularly, to be honest. But so I was seeing them, and I got all nostalgic for like what Denver was like when I was a kid, what Colorado was like when I was a kid. There's a lot of things that were there that are no longer there. Like I'm thinking like there was like Skate City, there's like the old Elitches, there's all this stuff like Celebrity Sports Center. You know, Casa Bonita's still there, but you know,
not the OG one.
Not well. I mean, the OG one would give you botulism. Like it was.
Oh right, the food was terrible, and that was part of the charm.
It came out with like Cheese Whiz. Like you'd order like your tray of food, and it was inedible, and like there was like Cheese Whiz, like cheese spread sauce on stuff, and it notoriously heinous. And then I don't know if you watched the documentary that Matt Stone and Trey Parker put together about the refurb. Highly recommend that. That's pretty awesome. You get to see just how disgusting that kitchen and pretty much the rest of the place was, and like how dangerous it was. It was like the electrical boxes like right next to where like the cliff divers get out of the pool, and
they're making it more exciting.
Oh yeah, well
he might literally die.
It's a
Enjoy your taco salad, people.
Didn't employees, guests, otherwise performers, we were all imperiled and we didn't know it, and yet we still loved it. So growing up in Fort Collins, hanging out in Greeley, you probably went to a bunch of Broncos training camps and things like that. Like what about like growing up in that area? Like what has changed since the last time you were there? Like what resonates with the mic?
Well, I was born in Fort Collins, but we moved away before I was 1, so I didn't do any really growing up there. But, you know, I'm one of those guys that when I go back to Greeley, and I was there at the end of May for my niece and nephew, they graduated high school, Frederick High and University High. But I'm that guy driving around with my wife in the car. I'm like, none of this was here when I was a kid. This all was a field, you know? But if you're from Greeley, or you know of it, I went to Greeley West High School, and our big rival was Greeley Central High School. God, the freaking Wildcats! Go to hell!
Yeah.
But if as the names apply, Greeley Central, the old Greeley High, was in Central Greeley, and Greeley West was on the west edge of town. There was literally nothing further west of our high school, like nothing real. And now when I go back, Greeley West is in the center of Greeley, and Greeley Central is out on the east end of town. And it's like the city is literally doubled in size. Like when I'd go visit my grandparents, you'd leave Greeley, drive through nothing, get to Windsor, which was a fart in the road, and then you drive through nothing else to get to Fort Collins. And now it's all one big metroplex, and Windsor is kind of a cool place. So just how much everything has sprouted out of the ground, like these cookie cutter housing developments and strip malls. It's so crazy how much bigger little old crap Greeley is. And I can say crap Greeley because I was born there. I was raised there. You can't, Jess. You showed respect.
I lived downwind of Greeley, and so I also deserve a vote to talk about Greeley. Because I smelled it for 18 years.
You know, the weird part is everybody would, like Greeley stinks and all that. And I'm going like, it does not. Like, it does not smell bad at all. Because growing up there, that's just what the world smelled like. And so I remember when I moved to California and came back after a year or two, whatever. And I'm like, oh shit, now I can smell it because I was no longer nose blind to it. And so, yeah, it took me a while because the same thing with the altitude. I'm like, the altitude's not that bad. I don't get winded out running around. And then I lived in California, and I went back, and with my brother, we ran up a set of stairs, and I died at the top of it because I had no oxygen up there. So, say absence makes the heart grow fonder, but with Greeley, it was kind of like the opposite.
No.
I love Greeley. I like going back to visit. It's where I'm from. But yeah, I didn't realize the stench was so bad growing up there because I was in it. I was, like Bane. I was, you merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it.
I live downwind of it, and so
Yeah.
this will shock you. I don't think I've ever been to Greeley. I don't think I've ever. I could maybe find it on a map if I had some help.
You take 85 north and stop before you get to Cheyenne.
Okay, yeah, I always stopped before I got to Greeley.
Yeah, if you did on 85, what are you stopping in? Platteville, Lucerne, LaSalle? Those aren't much better. All respect to our Platteville, Lucerne, and LaSalle listeners, but come on.
Yeah, it's fine. I see. Okay, so for me, I was born in a small mountain town called Cripple Creek. Yes. Well, I would have been born there if there weren't like weird complications. So technically, I was born in Colorado Springs, but
okay,
I grew up my first 4 years were my dad was a gold miner, and so we lived in a little house in Cripple Creek before the game.
1833.
We were homesteaders.
Freaking gold miners. Mom
Exactly.
Pappy was a gold miner, and his pappy before him was a gold miner.
That's right. Until the price of gold collapsed in 1983, and so
we got the right to vote.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm assuming you're that old.
I am maybe that old. So at 4 years old, we relocated to the great city of Denver. We lived, actually, ironically enough, because I live in New Hampshire now, we lived actually in a hotel while we figured everything out of the move from Cripple Creek to Denver, ultimately Aurora. I lived in a hotel, long-term stay hotel called the Hampshire House. Oh, the foreshadowing. Can you believe it?
It's like your origin story. The writers are planning these ham-fisted clues there for everybody to pick up on. And it's like, come on, guys, try harder here. Make it more subtle.
Ham-fisted to really believe, but it's true.
Right.
And so then we moved to Aurora, and then we moved to unincorporated Arapahoe County, which is now a town called Centennial. Good job. Awesome. You named it after the little regional airport. Good job. Easy to do. But for me, it was Inglewood. I don't know. Centennial, I don't know what that is. But because of the bicentennial state, I imagine.
Where the Centennial State, we were became
bicentennial or Centennial?
1876 is when we
Centennial.
State, so it's the Centennial State as our nickname.
It's one of those. Yeah. It's,
what I still remember from elementary school? Do you know what the Colorado state bird is?
The magpie.
The lark bunting.
Lark bunting.
At least it was back in the day. And it's like one of those random things you remember. The state flower is what?
Oh, well, so they asked this at the Samples concert the other night, and me and my wife in unison yelled it out, the Columbine. And everybody was so impressed. I was wearing my Broncos hat, and the people behind us were, that's awesome. How did you know that? And so I turned my hat around, and I was like, this is how. I'm an
OG. I'm a real one. So what's your first memory of the Broncos? Mine, I was 5, and the Broncos went to a Super Bowl. And I remember how crazy that was. And I think it was in kindergarten. And it was just, I don't remember much about the Broncos, but I remember that was the biggest thing to ever happen in the state ever.
Super Bowl 12?
Years. What's that? Super Bowl 12 with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I was 5. And so I just remember that being the biggest thing of all time. And I remember just like my parents, I remember they were trying to explain, they couldn't believe it,
Well, I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, Woody Page wrote a whole book on it called Orange Madness. So
right.
It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Terry Fry also wrote a book on that season, but he's kind of a racist. So I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. But
I don't know the racist story.
Oh yeah. He made all sorts of comments online about hating that there were so many foreigners in baseball. I think on 4th of July, he's like, it's America's holiday. We should have Americans playing baseball. And everyone.
Right. I remember that now.
Time for you to take a nap. We're gonna put the racist stuff away.
Go put your red hat on and lay down.
Yeah, and so it was a different time then when people had consequences for things like that.
Oh right, I was becoming a minor celebrity.
Yeah, exactly. So so there was that. For me, growing up, it was just having it on. There there, when we lived in Cripple Creek, I have distinct memories of, every weekend the game would be on, at that time.
No. We didn't have electricity. I'm almost certain. You didn't even have indoor plumbing. Be honest.
I hate to tell you this, but you are actually older than me. Like the 1977 Super Bowl that you were 5 at, I was still 2 years away. Like I wasn't around. Yeah. So it was always on.
But Cripple Creek doesn't have. I mean, I'm assuming a place called Cripple Creek to this day does not have electricity or indoor plumbing.
It absolutely does. And gambling. Now there's gambling there, and so
okay. That actually tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what's your first Bronco memory? Like anything specific?
Being on car trips, listening to
Bob Zimmer and Larry.
Larry Zimmer and Bob. Oh, what's his name? Bob Martin.
Bob Martin. Those guys were the best. I mean, I grew up with them, and like I've mentioned on here before, I'm not a big Dave Logan fan, and I think it's because I really remember how good those two were.
They were amazing. And poor Bob Martin, he got fired right before they won their first Super Bowl.
Right.
And well, not fired. He got relocated to the CU Buffs thing, and so they got in Scott Hastings. And so all those calls of like the first and second Super Bowl, like you hear like the radio cuts, and Scott Hastings, Denver Nuggets guy, NBA guy, was on the broadcast. Incidentally, he just got like canned
from the Nuggets.
Yeah, with Chris Marlowe from the Nuggets stuff, which he's like been the backbone of Denver Nuggets stuff as long as I can remember. And so I don't like how they just kind of, killed him off from the broadcast.
I remember one time I was covering a Nuggets game back at Old McNichols Arena, and Mutombo was there. Hastings was the backup center. And Mutombo made some crack about Hastings and about how, I had to go back in the game quick because Hastings didn't know what he was doing or something, and just had the Mutombo deep voice. And so I saw Hastings' letter, and it's like, man, Mutombo says you didn't do jack shit tonight or something like that. And so Hastings went after Mutombo. Like, they were both just, like, clowning around, like, yelling and beefing at each other. And it was, like, one of the funniest things I ever saw in a locker room. And I'm like, it was awesome because those two were just hilarious.
And there are a lot of funny things in a locker room.
Yeah. I want to fast forward back, first memories, like maybe my favorite memory from the Broncos growing up was I lived in Greeley, which if you're an old timer, that's where the Broncos used to have training camp. And so like every week we would every day during the summer, we'd get on our bikes and we'd ride down there. We spend the entire day at UNC watching the Broncos, and it'd be exciting because you'd see somebody that you knew from the TV news from Channel 4. You'd see Ron Zappolo there, and you'd be like, oh my God, his mustache.
The amazing mustache of Ron Zappolo.
Person. But I remember, I know you may not remember this, but the Broncos traded for a quarterback called John Elway.
Indeed, I do.
And it was like the biggest thing. I was there the first time John Elway came out to practice with the Broncos, and the ovation and screaming. And everybody was like, because like we didn't believe it until we saw it with our own eyes. And there he was in a blue helmet and, orange and blue, and it was insane. And my dad worked for Coca-Cola, and he was, driving the truck, stocking the shelves type of a thing. And during the summer, he would work like up at Estes Park, and it was so busy. They like rent him a house and have him live up there full time just because it was so busy. And so we'd go up there and we'd see him, and Elway had been there like that previous weekend. Everybody in Estes Park had signs in their window. Elway was here. And you'd go to a restaurant and you could order the Elway, which is, you could order the same food he ordered. It's just like a little burger stand type thing. You could order the exact burger combo type thing that he ordered. And that's when you just kind of knew, like, holy shit, this guy's different, And, what I just thought about now, though, is, do you remember like how much emotional energy was put into Elway? And then what if he ended up being Paxton Lynch? I'm not entirely sure the Denver Rocky Mountain area would have recovered. We still might be reeling from that.
Well, what's amazing about that era is that he kind of started off like Paxton Lynch. He even got benched in his first year by Dan Reeves. And so it very well could have gone that way. What's impressive about Denver in that area, Colorado as a whole, yes, including Greeley, is that they had tremendous patience to let him mature. It took time, and he did mature, and he is still the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I mean, when what we gave up for him, and he's heralded as the greatest quarterback prospect of all time, he gets that leash. And he started off poorly, but you have to remember that also he showed those glimmers where, like, they were down to the Colts of all teams, the team that originally drafted him. We were down like 19-0 to him, and he threw 3 fourth-quarter touchdown passes. And so there were those signs there where you could tell, oh, this guy's got it. But the other opposing defenses, I remember, oh, they wanted blood. This guy came in. Remember, he signed a 5-year, $5 million contract. Unheard of. It was insane. And the other teams, you know, you still had remnants of the Steel Curtain and the Raiders with, you know, their various thugs and mercenaries. Oh, they wanted Elway bad. So they made life really rough for him.
So, okay, so you bring that up. So the Raiders and that era, the Raiders were actually pretty good. I don't know if you know this, the last Super Bowl they won was like
1985, right?
I think it's 83. I think it's even older than that. And so when I was a kid, like my first Broncos experience was actually an in-person game. It wasn't John Elway. It wasn't, you know, Rick Upchurch or any of those early 80s Broncos. No, it was that 77 team that got you so excited when you were in kindergarten. It was an old timers game that was at Mile High Stadium. We went with a bunch of my parents' friends. We sat, they had fireworks. It was awesome. Lyle Alzado played, but he didn't play with the Broncos. He played with the opposing team, which was like a seniors team of the Raiders, which, right. You know, looking back on it now, it's like all those like Hall of Famers from the 70s that, you know, the Raiders are still clinging to. It's all they have.
Yeah, he's like, you watch those old NFL film things where they have like your George Atkinsons on there, and they were like
Casper and
the most whiny bastards. Like, oh, we got screwed. We did this. Like, you won like 2 or 3 Super Bowls. Shut up. You were anyway. I hate those old Raiders. I hate all the Raiders.
So
I hate the Raiders. There's an 8th grader out there right now who doesn't know that he's going to be a Raider someday, and that guy can go fuck himself.
Oakland Raiders, I hate them.
Indeed. So everyone was mad. Lyle Alzado sided with the Raiders for this old timers game, and like I'm sure Craig Morton was there and Haven Moses, and I'm sure I have no idea who actually played in this game because I was like 4 and I have no idea. But I do have one distinct memory, and it has stayed with me forever. I think the Raiders may have won. I don't know. We were walking out of the stadium, and it was kind of quiet, especially, you know, following a Broncos game. And there was like an old grandma, like head to tail. She had a tail, Raiders gear, and she's just screaming Raiders on the way out, like nonstop. And I'm like, wow, I hate her, and I hate that team. And so that kind of was the foundation upon which all of my
Oakland Raiders, I hate them.
Hate is balanced. And, you know, I have never wavered since that old lady was like, so yeah, that's my first in-person memory with the Denver Broncos. And it's with your 77 team.
Hey, a couple little things there for you. The Raiders won the Super Bowl in 1984, so we were both wrong between 83 and 85. And I looked up that game, and you know an interesting fun fact?
Go on.
Lyle Alzado played for both teams.
Oh, he did. Oh, well, there you go.
Broncos won
unrest.
54. 31,000 people showed up for this flag football game.
Wow. Was it flag or tackle?
Oh, it's flag. Like 50. You think you can go out there and tackle?
The 80s. Like, they didn't wear helmets.
It was 1988.
No. That was way later. Like there was one.
It says 1988. This is like the only time they did it. July 22nd, 1988. It was at Old Mile High, 31,000 fans.
Did they have fireworks afterwards? Because there were fireworks. I definitely
There's
remember
usually fireworks. Like remember, like the Denver Bears would always get a big attendance because they do fireworks game on July 4th. Which another part of that Broncos era was they had to play in the dirt infield because the minor league Denver Bears had they got to play there too.
Well, I never saw the Bears. I didn't know the Bears. I saw the Zephyrs, and I saw the Zephyrs a shit ton. Like I loved the Zephyrs.
I remember going to a Zephyrs game because Chicago was playing afterwards, and my friend and I, our girlfriends in high school, liked Chicago. So we're like, well, let's go and watch the baseball game because it was like $10, and Chicago was playing afterwards, and it freaking rained, and Chicago played 3 songs and left.
Oh, Chicago, the band. I thought you.
No, Chicago, the band.
That's key information, Mike. I'm like,
sorry, I forgot that Chicago. So you say Chicago, and I think of Saturday in the Park, baby.
See, we are of different eras, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm like,
about,
what is the Chicago? What is it?
The other thing I remember growing up that's so much different than it is now is we had Orange Fridays in school. Like if the Broncos were playing the Raiders, it was like a school spirit day, Orange Friday, and everybody'd wear Broncos stuff to school for that. When the Broncos won the 86 AFC Championship game with a drive, my junior high, John Evans, junior high school, had the game on VCR in the lunchroom all day long. So if you were walking by between classes, you could stop and watch the game for a few minutes. And at lunch, you could sit there and watch the game. They just had it on so you could watch it again. As Denver grew and we got, the Rockies, the Avalanche, the Nuggets became more relevant. They were around then, of course, and I loved them. And everybody who lived in Colorado was from Colorado. And the Broncos are so much more back then. Even as big as they are now, you have all these transplants, and so you have people with different backgrounds. But man, back then, you were a Broncos kid or you were the weird fucking kid.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do remember those Orange Fridays, and actually I remember a good friend of mine, John DePreto, catching total hell from his sisters because he even wore cleats along with his Orange Friday attire, and they were like, "That's a bit too far. Like that's too much." Like as though it mattered, like in any scope of anything. But yeah, I totally agree with you, and it's something that that manifests in our day to day, right? As Bronco fans that don't live in Denver anymore. I'm sure you've encountered plenty of people that are like, "You don't live in Denver anymore. Why are you still a Broncos fan?" It's like, are you kidding? It was bred into me. I can't be who I am without rooting for the Denver Broncos. That it was so foundational because of who the Broncos and John Elway were when we were kids and what it meant to just the city and the state itself.
Yeah, it was our identity. And it reminds me, like back in the early 2000s, I was married and we had this family dinner, the wife's family, and her sister brought home this guy that she was dating and she eventually got engaged to, but didn't marry. And he was a Niners fan, and the entire family was Niners fans because they all grew up out here. And I remember him saying, "Don't worry, Mike, we'll have you turn into a Niners fan sooner than you think." And I was so pissed off. I remember the drive home, it was like an hour and a half drive home, and I remember just ranting to Megan, my wife at the time, and like, "Who's that fucker think he is? Like, I'm going to just give up on the Broncos and just become a Niners fan? What the? I don't like this guy. She better not fucking marry him." And I was so mad that people would think that I would stop becoming a Broncos fan because of geography. The fudge? No.
You went home and immediately put on that Brian Greasy jersey and strutted around like never will that
never.
Happen.
Oh, and I caused a family disturbance back then because then he later, as a joke, took off my Broncos license plate frame and replaced it with a Raiders one. And I don't know how long it'd been, but I realized it was the Target, and I took it off, the Raiders one. I threw it in the trash, and the wife was mad. He's like, he spent money on that. You shouldn't throw it away. I'm like, then you shouldn't have fucking put it on my car if you didn't want to throw it in the trash. And I was mad, and so she had to call him and like, you better put that Broncos one back on his car. He's really mad. So he drove like an hour or some out of the way that night to our apartment, put it on, didn't even go knock on the door, just put it in and then left. And
like a coward.
Evidently it was this, and it became this big thing where like her sister was mad at me for so long for it was a joke and he shouldn't have reacted like that. I'm like, no. Like I remember like having to tell her dad. Well, I told her, my wife, because when we found out we were pregnant and having my boy Zach, her dad made a comment like, you better not leave him here or he'll be coming back to you in a Raiders onesie. And I remember saying to my wife, like very angrily, and matter of fact, like if they put him in a fucking Raiders onesie, they're not seeing their grandson again. And you need to tell your dad that, and you need to tell him that I'm not kidding. I will not stand for them using my unborn child to make fun of me and to do this Broncos stuff, blah, 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 blah. She's like, fine, I'll tell him. No wonder she divorced me.
I mean,
but I'm like, no, don't use my boy as a prop in your like little game. So that's how serious I am about being a Broncos fan.
Mike, I totally get it. And I had a very similar experience with my boy. Yeah. So we were living in California, in Los Angeles. Beautiful Altadena. That house burned down in the Eaton Canyon fire. Rest in peace. Beautiful house. Garage is still there. That's where I had my my little arcade. So the arcade persists to this day. House completely gone. But my boys were babies. And my brother-in-law and his now ex-wife, they came from Washington, and they brought gifts. They brought gifts from Washington, and so they brought bibs for the boys. Bibs. One of them was a Washington State bib, which I have nothing against Washington.
Right,
State.
That's fine. That's neutral territory.
Totally fine. Another bib, a Seahawks bib.
Oh, and fuck no.
I was like, no, absolutely not. And so
Wait a second. For our younger listeners, back in the day, the Seahawks were in the AFC West. So this is more akin to bringing like a Chargers or a Chiefs one today, because they were a division rival back in the day.
And they had only been out of the division probably, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years, 10 years.
Okay, so the scab was still fresh.
Sure. Yeah, but it's still the Seahawks, and there's no fucking way I'm going to allow any of that in my house. And so it was like a present. And so I opened it and I was like, oh, look at this. Oh, that's great. And then the moment everybody's back was turned, I snuck the Seahawks bib out to the trash. I just threw it away. Like I had it all of 3 minutes and it was gone.
I would have made eye contact with them while I held the trash can up and threw it in there.
Well, so then they were like, well, let's get pictures. Where's that bib? And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened to that bib. I don't know. Seahawks bibs don't have a long life here at this house.
Right.
We could put the Washington State one if you want, but I have no idea what happened to the Seahawks one. And to this day, I am so glad that I did that, because there would have been pictures of them and of my baby children, my baby Broncos fans in Seahawks stuff. And then we went on to lose that Super Bowl, and that could have been weaponized against me in all sorts of ways, because there was a major falling out after the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl with me and the family. We've since patched things up, but it's very serious. Like, I do not like Skyhawks, the Seahawks. And I absolutely will not stand for my children wearing that gear unless they decide to. Like, it's their choice. If ultimately, we can decide what happens with the will at a later time if that happens. But for now, it should be their choice, And I support them in that as long as I.
Not then. It wasn't their choice. It was my choice.
It was my choice, and that fucking thing went right into the trash. And they were mad. They were mad. Like, they figured it out that clearly I had done something with it. But what are you doing bringing that into my house? You thought it was going to be funny? You thought it was going to permit that? Absolutely not. They are not going to wear Seahawks stuff for your amusement. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's like, and people still try to do that. Like my first year teaching, my yearbook kids, we did a Secret Santa thing in yearbook class, and one of the kids paid $20 to trade for somebody to get my name, and she bought a Patriots flag. Now, I got word of this before she gave it to me, and I just let the girl know. Emma is her name. It's 5 years ago. I'm like, hey, you spent about $40 on this flag and $20 to get my name, but just so you know, I will throw the flag in the trash and I will never hang it up. So if you want to give me the gift as a little funny 30-second joke, go for it. Or you could go return it now and get your money back and not waste all that money.
And get me something sweet.
So she did, and I got a Hershey's bar out of it.
There you go.
And I'm not trying to be rude to you, but I'm like, just so you know, this will not be funny. And I will literally throw it in the trash.
In front of you.
Yes. And it's like kids to this day are like, let's make it bad. And if the Raiders win, you have to wear their jersey. I'm like, first of all, I'm never going to bet with a student. I'm never going to bet on the Broncos because I just want to watch the game and enjoy. That's why I don't like to do fantasy football either. But I will never, ever make a bet where I have to risk wearing a Raider shirt, a Chiefs shirt, whatever, a Seahawks bib that I found in the trash. I'm not going to risk it. And
Found myself.
It takes a while of people, once they get to know me, they know, like, okay, don't even ask. He's not going to do it.
It ain't like that, homie. Homie don't play that.
You know what's funny though, Jess, as we wrap up this episode, you said at the beginning, we're going to go into more of the something, and this is probably our most Bronco-specific podcast of all time.
Isn't that funny? Like I made notes, and I was like, oh, these are all like the old Denver things I wanted to talk about, like show
next episode, baby.
Celebrity Sports Center, the organ grinder, and an Inspector Gadget themed restaurant called Gadgets that existed for some reason.
Next episode, let's do that. We promise more something next episode. I have a few things here. One of my memories growing up is Stapleton Airport.
Yeah, that's on my list.
And I never flew on an airplane until I was in high school. But we'll get to that next episode because right now it's pot pie time, baby.
Already? I don't think I'm ready for that. I don't like it.
I have a doctor appointment that I need to go wake up a teenager for and get him out of the house.
Chicken pot pie.
Well,
that time, but
it's late.
Michael had chicken pot pie for lunch.
So, all right. Well, that's it. We can talk about Funplex and Blockbuster music and Skate City another time, I guess.
Music.
Yeah, man. That was like the epicenter of like my high school thing. And now it's like a breakfast place over there in Centennial. What
was the name of the record store in Greeley back in the day?
I've never been to Greeley, so I couldn't tell.
Oh, but it was the place to go. Like if you needed something, it was like the Finest. It was called the Finest, and that was the place with like that guy with the scraggly beard who didn't shower, but he knew, like, you could come in and say, like, there's this one lyric that I know, and he'd know exactly which fucking band sang it and where to find it. And every record store had that guy.
Yeah.
And the Finest was ours. So hey, love you, Jess.
No, Kenny, this is my podcast.
Love you, Mike.
See you, boys.